Hello, I'm Nobby. Welcome to my workshop. Apologies, no video for you last weekend, but there were various family things happening during that week and the beginning of this week, in fact, so I didn't really have time to get into the workshop, but I'm back in the workshop now, and really this is, if you like, part one of building the Ellie tram. I mentioned that it was suggested to me that I should build the boiler first, get the difficult job out of the way, which is precisely what I'm going to do. Then I always showed you the piece of copper tubing I've got for the boiler and the copper plate to make the end caps. Obviously these have got to be machined on the lathe to fit just inside the bore of the tube. What I decided to do was to experiment first with some scrap material. It was mentioned to me obviously that copper is a very gummy material to machine, not the easiest material apparently for machining. I've no real experience of using copper in this particular way. I mean, I have drilled into copper tubing when I made a small boiler for a Mammoth engine. So what I found is some aluminium plate. It's, I don't think, a very good quality aluminium, and when I was cutting this to size, it seemed very peculiar to cut, not like machinable quality aluminium. This is obviously for fabrication, but the thickness of this material is just about identical to the thickness of the copper, just possibly a fraction thicker. So what I did, I just cut a square out. I found the centre position and made a little pot mark in the centre, and then used a caliper to scribe a circle just a fraction larger than the inner diameter of the copper tube. And then I drilled a 1/4 inch hole in the centre here. It will be a 1/4 inch hole in the centre of the copper plate to take the stay, which goes right through the centre of the boiler. So what I've made on the lathe is a fixture that I can fit this onto, so that I can turn this and then machine this down to size. I've just sort of cut the sort of corners out, you know, so there's a little bit less material to machine off. But I'll turn the camera around to the lathe so you can see what I've actually done with the fixture itself. So bear with me just for a moment. Okay, so what I've done here is I've used a piece of roughly 20mm diameter steel, and I've turned this down so that I can thread it quarter of an inch. I've not threaded it the same thread size as the stay will be. That will be 1/4 by 40. This is 1/4 by 26, which is the BSF size, which for the fixture I'm sure is going to be okay. So I can put the part on here and then hold it in place with some washers. I've found amongst all the boxes of odd washers I've got some washers that I hope will sort of work on this to hold it in place, and then I can screw this little nut on the end here and then tighten that securely into position. Make sure this one nice and tight, and then I can turn this down and then keep test fitting it onto the cylinder, so I can machine it so that I get a good fit. Obviously I don't need a really tight fit. I need a good sliding fit, really, because when the copper plate is silver soldered in here, the silver solder will need obviously a space between this end cap and the inside of the tube here to find its way through, so it solders on the front end around the back as well. So this is why I'm doing this as a test piece first, as a practice piece, really. I don't want to sort of commit the copper plate to this process straight away, because the piece of copper plate I've got is only big enough to make 2 caps, and if I mess this up, it's a very expensive piece of copper that I'm going to lose, so I would have to buy another piece, and it's already, I've spent quite a lot of money on all the materials, so I don't really want to add to that expense any more than I have already. I just move the camera along a bit so you can see the lines on the end of this here. Bear with me a second. There we are. So hopefully there you can see the line I've marked on here. Obviously this is sort of outside of the diameter that's required, so this will give me a guide basically to work to, because when I get near to the right size, I've got to make very, very fine passes across here and keep test fitting the cylinder so that it just lightly slides over the top of this. Well, I've set the camera up over the top of the lathe, so I hope you can see what's going on here. What I've done is I've tried to get the edge of the cutting tool to the sort of the high point of the peaks here of the plate, so that I can just sort of gradually bring that in to cut this into the diameter. So let's see how this works out. It seems to be running reasonably true, so I keep moving the cross sliding very, very slightly until I make contact with the part. It appears to be working. I've obviously got a long way to go in machining this. Although it's the peculiar aluminium I've got here, it does appear to be machining reasonably well. What I'll do is I'm going to carry on with this until I get perhaps this turned down so that all the peaks are machined off, and I'm getting sort of close to the line itself, because I'm only taking the cross slide in very, very tiny amounts, because I'm sort of quite nervous of doing this anyway. So I'll bring you back up a bit later when it's sort of nearer to the diameter. I've turned the material down now, so it's removed all the pointed parts, so I've got a clean machining all the way around now, and I've made some measurements. Obviously all the planes I think I mentioned before are in metric measurements, so what I've done is I've measured this up to just a fraction over the diameter, the internal diameter of the tube, so that I can work out how much more needs to be removed to a point where I can start making some test fits. But what I've done is those measurements I've converted to imperial measurements, because my Myford lathe here is an imperial lathe, and all the micrometer dials on it are imperial, so I can use that to sort of take it down to the right diameter. So I'm going to take about 30 thousandths off this, which hopefully will bring me to a position where I can then start to machine away very, very lightly and make various test fits. So let's see how this goes. Take another measurement and see how we're looking now. Right, well, that on the measurement I've taken is showing about 17 thousandths, which is still outside of the measurement I need. So we'll take just a bit more off, and then I think I'll be then at the point where I can start to making some test fits. Just make sure I don't get any bits of aluminium welding itself to the end of the cutting tool. I think I'm going to have to sort of re-hone that in a bit. Right, well that's dead on that measurement, but I guess I've still got quite a bit to go. So I think what I've got to do now is make some very light cuts, and then keep test fitting this until this slides on. There's still a way to go. I'll keep working at this and then bring you back. Well, I've taken this down very lightly, going down literally about a thousandth to half thousandths at a time, and I think I've sort of reached a good point. This does very sort of lightly slip on. It's not a press fit, but by wiggling this, I guess you've got to take into account that perhaps this tube isn't absolutely round. You know, when this is cut to size, it may squeeze the tube slightly. It's you know, reasonably thick. I think this is something like 1.6 millimeters in thickness. It's a standard thickness for this diameter of pipe, but it's not a press fit. It's a sort of fairly light fit. I think I'll push that will go right on, but you can see as it wiggles, I'm guessing it's not possibly perfectly round, so I'm hoping that may be okay. Maybe I'll take perhaps about another half thousandths off this, so that this will just gently slide on. But I think this was a good experiment to do in machining a piece of, if you like, scrap material first, you know, to sort of make sure that my idea of the technique is going to work. I mean, all sorts of different suggestions on how I should actually do this with the copper material, sort of soldering it onto a piece of brass, round stock, and all sorts of different ways that you could actually do this. But I ran this idea past someone that's been sort of helping me a lot with ideas on making the boiler, and it was agreed that this was, you know, probably an okay way of doing it. So there we are. That's it basically. And I think this will work. Okay, I'm hoping that when I do it, machine the copper, that I don't sort of mess everything up. But I'm sort of quite pleased with how this has actually gone so far. Well, I think machining that test piece has been reasonably successful. I'm going to just machine perhaps another half thousandths or something like that, so that I can confirm that I've got a reasonable sliding fit. And as I mentioned, it's possible that this isn't absolutely round to the thousandths of an inch, but hopefully any small errors in the tube itself will, you know, get taken up by the silver solder when that's applied. I'm gonna call that an end to this video basically now. I don't want to make this video too long as a part one, but bring you back for sort of more adventures in making the Ellie tram. I think this is going to be a very, very long build from the amount of things that have got to be made for it. There's so many parts of this that are going to be quite new to me, so it's I think there's going to be quite a lot of difficulties in building this, but what I intend to do is to sort of probably make this over a fairly long period, but then do other things in between as well, really, rather than just sort of concentrate only on this. Anyway, a couple of days ago I received an envelope through the post from the USA, and it's another sticker. In fact, it's a new sticker from Stuart. If you're familiar with his channel, Stuart Shenanigans. He's an English gentleman that sort of moved to America, I don't know how many years ago, but in a recent video he put up, he said he wasn't entirely happy with the sticker that he already had for his channel and wanted to redesign a new one, and this is the new sticker, which I hope you can see okay. I guess a lot of you are familiar with Stuart's channel. If you're not, give him a look. It's a really interesting channel. He has a very, very nice workshop. He does have a day job as well, so what he's doing is obviously a hobby in his spare time. But he did say that he had already sent out a few stickers to people that had previously received stickers from him, and I was surprised that he sent me one of the new ones, which was very, very nice of him. I was delighted to receive it. So give Stuart Shenanigans a look. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. It's a fun channel. He's got a very, very good sense of humour, and his videos are recorded in a really nice way. So I'm going to turn the camera around and put Stuart's sticker up onto the wall, so bear with me. Right, there's the sticker board, and you see that's Stuart's original sticker here, Stuart's Shenanigans, and that's his little, well, his workshop is actually bigger than that shed, but he did say that being such a dark blue, it was a bit difficult to actually see the writing on the sticker itself. Well, Stuart, I can't get you a new sticker next to the original one, so I'm going to have to put you somewhere else, and I think I'll probably pop you in here just below Haxby Shed. So there you are, Stuart, you're on the wall. So I hope you like the place I've put you in. The board is filling up quite nicely now. Not as many stickers a lot of people on YouTube have got, but it's, you know, it's coming into place. Lots of nice colour in the board as well. So there we are. So that's it from me. Thanks very, very much for joining me in the workshop again. I'm sorry about my absence last week, but you know, sometimes you have to give way to family events. I think, you know, family has to come first. I always feel that's the way it's got to be. So anyway, thanks for joining me, and I hope to have another video for you very soon. Bye for now.